All right, welcome to the Joel Fleischman Happy Hour podcast, episode number 84. We have DMG with us here. We have Patrick McMahon, Sean McMahon, Kim Mather. Appreciate you guys taking the time. Somebody here made a big boo-boo and not including Joel Fleischman on his own Happy Hour podcast. So we have the DMG folks here without Joel.
Paging Joel Fleischman. Joel Fleischman, paging Joel Fleischman.
So yeah, appreciate you guys being here today.
Joel Fleischman, where are you?
We got Patrick drinking some Central Waters. What do you got there?
I got the Honey Blonde Ale.
Honey Blonde Ale. So we appreciate
Central Waters.
Appreciate Central Waters.
Good stuff.
Providing the beer. We got the Drexel Light over here. We got some of the horse medicine from last year. And yeah, I know we've had this one on the books a few different times. That's why we're still here. And then making a big boo-boo not having Joel here. But want to thank you guys for coming. Just kind of talk about, I guess, what you guys are doing right now. Obviously, fast forward, it's been 6 months now since you guys have come on board, and kind of what.
I guess maybe we should talk about the excitement about that, right?
Yeah.
So let's talk about the fact that 6 months ago, McMahon and Company, right? We operated for 26 years prior to December 30th of 22 as McMahon and Company, wholesale distributors, and now we are part of the Drexel family of manufacturing under Drexel Systems. And now Drexel has their own manufacturing operation for millwork. So we do our own interior doors, exterior doors, pre-finished, all that stuff. So we're happy to be part of the family.
Awesome.
Yeah.
You guys got anything to add in terms of?
He said it. I mean, as McMahon and Company, we're a strong legacy. I think it shows great accolades to not only us as McMahons, but the Drexel family. Nobody left during the transition.
Sure.
Obviously, McMahon and Company started by our father. We took over. We've got third generation is in there, and they're pretty important. I've got 2 kids involved in it. Patrick has a son is involved in it in the summertime. So all really big parts of it. And I think from a production crew, it's been outstanding. I actually said, because we do Shuby tours every other Wednesday when they come through. And, as a new employee, they come through and they're nervous. They should be. Think about it. We were nervous.
Yep.
Starting a new job, I tell the Shubies, I said, listen, I was an owner for 26 years. I said, Drexel's a high-class organization. We have expectations. We pay our people pretty well. You made a good choice, and I think we made a good choice.
Yeah.
Well, and the other part of it is our team, right? We retain, I think,
everybody,
all but 2 members,
right. Yeah.
In the transition. So our team is the same. So when we say it really ended up being a turnkey operation, it's a turnkey operation. So we bring that 26 years of knowledge right in with the team, and it's been fun to see how it goes. Last month, it was exciting because, we're not at the production level we were at pre-merger, but every month we're growing. The Drexel family is growing in terms of what we're doing and how we go. And we got a lot of big plans for...
It'd be really cool if we could share that with Joel. But
hey, where's Joel? Agent Joel Fleischman. Joel Fleischman.
So what was your guys' thoughts, obviously coming into things, right? Like, you knew things were going to merger over. You guys were at State of Happiness, at least Kim, when I was there that day, you were there, kind of asked some questions, the feeling it out process, but going from, being your kind of standalone place to coming into the Drexel family, what were your thoughts prior to that? I mean, did you think like it was going to be seamless? Were you kind of nervous? I mean, what kind of were your thoughts that way?
If anybody says that they weren't nervous, I have to tell them I think they're nuts. Because you were stepping a little bit into the unknown.
Sure.
And in my role, that I knew that there's a lot of things that I did that Drexel was going to offer immediate support to me because they already had a lot of the departments that I handled behind the scenes.
Yep.
So I knew immediately I was going to have support, and that we were hovering around 45 employees that
Sure.
I knew that that's where my help was coming
Yep.
really quickly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I agree with Kim. I mean, if anybody here tells you that they weren't nervous, we'd be lying to you.
Sure.
You go from an atmosphere where I knew where to go to. If I had first of all, if I had a question, that it was rare. We could make decisions, and we knew that we had each other's backs
Yep.
right away. We knew the chain of command, I guess, to steal it. Come January 2nd, it was like, well, this is what I want to do. What do I got to do this?
Yep.
So there was just those kind of things, and You know, as we've done those things, and as we've, you know, anything from human resources to adding inventory to overtime to extra innings, to other stuff, we just figure it out.
Yeah.
And I would tell you, it's been appreciative of Joel and Andy Rattler.
Joel who?
Joel Fleischman. Agent Joel Fleischman. Sorry, is he around, Joel?
Is he in the building?
That was Kim Mather. But we really, I mean, we've made decisions. They're really allowing us to really still be the professionals and make those decisions and add stuff we need to add for the team, and make it somewhat seamless as possible. So that's been a good thing. We've entrusted them, and I feel like they've entrusted us.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. Like, they still know, we know our people the best, like our team the best.
Yep.
And kind of some of the things that they've needed to help them along. Because I think the one thing that I missed when we made the decision as the group, you know, you kind of come in as, ooh, you were the owners, you made the group. When we announced to the employees, I missed the impact of what it was going to mean in their life.
Okay, sure.
And it wasn't until after that initial meeting, which we did it on a Friday.
Yep.
I was overwhelmed by the stories and the amount of sharing that had happened. And I don't know if that is kind of had helped our team stay on board. Like, it's incredible, 6 months post, that we have had nobody resign.
Yeah.
So
That's a very impressive, and I think
Right.
honestly what you're kind of talking about, like you're talking about how, you know, kind of entrusted, and that's why I feel like everything I've seen from here is it's unique to have, you know, now growing to almost 800 team members, where there's just trust, and people trust people. Like, you know, you do your role, and yeah, there's leadership and stuff, and there's coaching points, but it's not like this, hey, what's going on over there?
Right.
Are things good? Are things
Right.
good? You know, just check on, you know, it's like there's a trust that's there, which I think is healthy, obviously, right, to operate at a high level. What did you guys, obviously being a working partner with Drexel prior to being part of the family, is there anything that's surprised you that you didn't know, good or bad? Probably good, but coming into things that you're like, oh, I didn't know that about Drexel now that we're part of the family?
No, I think they were they were a big enough customer. Joe likes to say he was our biggest customer, and I don't know that was always the case. But no, we knew what they were and what they were capable of. And Patrick and I had several conversations throughout the years that we knew at some point Joel and the Drexel family was going to try to do this by themselves. We knew that was coming.
Sure.
And there was two ways. I mean, we had two ways to do it. If it was how it was going to work out like it did,
Yep.
or were we going to end up to be at some point competitors.
Yep.
So we kind of knew that was coming. I would say that we were a close enough customer that we knew everything that they did, the offsite and the trusses and
I don't think
all the
there's
things.
I don't think there's any surprises.
No.
I think the surprise has been the smooth. Don't get me wrong, this transition's not easy, but it's been fairly
Smooth is not an adjective I would use.
Right,
There's
I mean-
been some rocks.
I mean, there's just always things that go on in terms of what happens and what expectations are. I think we also have to understand is we also did only do maybe 20% of Drexel's business overall.
Sure.
So there's team members currently right now who never really have done business with us or bought product from the DMD location. So getting them to understand what we can do, how we can do it, having things go well for them, and they've had good successes. They're like, oh yeah, this is great. This is a lot better than what I was doing before. So,
Yeah, and it seems like, again, just on some of the stuff from communities and whatnot, I've actually not been to your facility yet down there, but it seems like anytime somebody walks through
has
the door...
Joel Fleischman been there? Joel Fleischman? Is that where he's at? He might be actually touring it.
I probably put on his calendar, hey, we're going to meet down at DMD.
That's what he's doing. He's checking up to
He's
say,
checking
hey,
up on us.
that's what he's doing. He's like, hey,
checking on us.
we at the podcast, really, how are those McMahon people? Are they okay? Are they treating you okay?
I don't think they're all they're cracked up to be.
You zig, I'm going to zag kind of thing. So,
Sorry, I
no, you're
I'm
good.
going to go back to one other thing that Kim was kind of saying about during the transition thing. The other thing that was really hard to me was, excuse me, you told me the story. Excuse me, one of the customers that Wisconsin customer who we no longer do business with, actually, I think had a conversation, I'm not speaking for her, but I think was Kim. And they said, do you guys realize the type of hole you're going to leave in the market? And to be honest with you, we didn't. We just do what we do.
Mm-hmm.
And that was kind of, it was eye-opening for us. And then along with what Kim said, I had some conversations with some longtime guys in the back. And they were like, you know, their first question was, Sean, why? Why are you doing this? And I don't think any of us here said we didn't do any of it for the money. It was, we want to make sure that we can provide and do for our guys, our people at that time. So, but that was the other thing that I don't think, even if I remembered, I wouldn't say which customer it was. But when they said, you guys don't realize the type of hole, because as McMahon, we did things other distributors wouldn't do or couldn't do or didn't take the time to the attention to detail. And I think that's something that Joel and the leadership group saw a value in us, because I always kid Joel, even though he's not here.
Joel Fleischman, Paige Joel Fleischman.
As long as I'm here, that's not going to change.
Yeah.
I mean, our
Kind of going
tenants stay
above
the
and beyond
same.
a little bit.
Correct.
Yeah. So, and those competitors of ours saw that, right? Like,
Right.
if you're leaving and going with Drexel, well, I mean, no one else is going above and beyond that way. So,
Correct.
yeah,
That was one. I'll never forget that
Yeah.
part of it.
for sure. Yeah. So, I mean, again, I was kind of referring to on communities. I've seen, like, it seems like anytime a QB brings, a builder through or whatever, it seems like it's an absolute slam dunk. And again, just seeing what kind of all operates on there. And you were touching on, the Shoebies coming through as a new team member, which I think the way that we've changed Shoe is great as well. Just, anytime you can meet more team members in more locations and see what's going on and understand the whole value that Drexel has as a whole, I think it makes it better. But how long do those kind of tours take when they kind of walk through the facility? I mean, are you like
Well, there's
45
two.
minutes an hour?
We're gonna have a little fun with this. You're gonna get the B tour. You're gonna get the A tour. You knew I was gonna go there.
You could get the C tour.
That's where they hang doors.
You walk through this way a little easier.
The builder ones, quite honestly, we can spend up to an hour and a half
Okay.
in the shop. We can go into some great
That's
detail.
where just walking through the floor, just seeing
Right,
everything
We
that's
see
kind of
the
going
floor,
on.
we go through the process, we explain the history. History is important, and it's also when you're taking a builder through, they want to know that you care.
Yep.
They want to know that, as I say, we're firemen, because in our industry, people make mistakes. Whether we make mistakes, whether our quarterback or millwork specialist makes mistakes, whether our customer made a mistake. We also know that millwork is the last package in the home, so our closing time is big. We're going to run to it. So we try to portray that on the tour. We start in the finish department. We tell them all we know about finish. Right now we're working in, how big is that building now? We're at 5,000 square feet?
Yeah, we're probably about
7,500 square feet maybe?
maybe 75 to 10.
And my big project right now is designing and laying out the new one. We're going to go to between 40 and 50,000 square foot pre-finished area with a lot more automation. Wow. So explaining that, where we've come from, where we're going, and then the three of us made a decision. It'll be 3 years now. We go into some CNC machinery on both the exterior and the interior side. So we're more precise machining than most other vendors out there that you can do. And I think that's what Drexel and Team Blue is finally realizing is we're not just a shop. We are our own two-step distributor. We're still servicing Illinois and Indiana. We are a two-step distributor.
I think the biggest thing with tours, with bringing people in, is they get to touch and feel and see the people, the people on the lines that care. I mean,
right.
You got Ryan. Ryan does a great job as the machine operator. Brady does a great job in the shop. Matt, Quentin, Joel on the pre-finish line.
Donnie,
Jeff,
Tom.
and those guys. Tom. We got such a good crew of people that care about what they're doing and put it out, and then that translate to conversion and orders. It really does. Once you put that human aspect to it, it's not just Sean and I. We've been in a number of places across the country here over the last 6 months, and our people are good in comparison to what we see. The quality we see and the attention to detail that we put into it. Making sure your hinges are flush, making sure you're getting a good lock over all the different things. I mean,
I tell this story on tour, and I got to do it because Joel's not here.
well, be careful. We're on the internet.
No, we're good.
We're live.
Hey,
Joel Fleischman.
So the one thing that Joel kind of irritated me during the whole transition process, he goes, nobody cares about an interior door. And I'm like, and I didn't know him all that well yet. So this is probably the first time he's hearing this from me. And I'm going, bullshit. Until your hinges aren't flush, or your screws aren't straight, or your latches and machine center, then everybody gives a shit and you're an asshole.
Yep.
Excuse my language.
Beep.
So
It's just going to be the sound effect guy.
You're good at that.
Joel Fleischman.
Beep's coming in. Not to give too much away, but obviously the new building, you're kind of touch on that.
Yep.
Can you give a preview of, and you just kind of were in terms of square footage with the pre-finish you were talking about, just talk about like where you're at right now and what kind of that plan is where we're looking at in Kewausee.
Thanks to Albert, the building grew last Thursday. We're going to be 400 by 900.
Okay, wow.
It's a rectangle. It will be, there's going to be, I know for as far as we are planning it, the pre-finished department is going to be 40,000 square feet. We're going to work with a vendor because it's on the internet. I'm not going to release that vendor yet.
Yeah.
And so we're going to have some automated door storage. We're going to have a lot more automation in pre-finish. We're going to add, so we currently have one interior door line. We're going to have 2 interior door lines and then a third line, which should be dedicated for just double doors. On the exterior side, we're going to start with a single exterior line for single doors. Phase 2 would be to add another one. And then we're going to have a side light, we'll call it a patio line for an entrance door there. And then we're going to marry, at that point it will become a distribution center. So we're going to marry, the moldings with the supply side, and that will be kind of a shared area.
Right.
It's the vision.
There's just a lot of things that we're going to work out.
But there's
of all
still,
different things.
I think the only thing I can tell you with any kind of certainty is we're down to about a size in the automated door storage and the pre-finish area, and then production is what I just started on this week. So getting some quotes on some production machinery, and we actually, Patrick and I just met with Jason Blanker, brought a guy to the table with some automation ideas. So we're starting to work on that. We're going to try to automate as much as we can. And as Patrick stated, we spent about 3 months on the road, toured 4 or 5, 6 facilities. The tough part with automation on a door is it's a pretty archaic business, and there isn't a lot out there. So if there's something out there, we're going to have to make it up.
Yeah, which is exciting, huh?
Yeah.
Challenging,
Exciting
just
is
all the stuff, right?
one adjective we can use.
Challenging.
Yeah.
It forces you to really think differently.
Yeah.
It really does.
Did you guys always have kind of, sorry, go ahead.
No, I just said, but we're also dealing with wood in a lot of cases.
Correct.
Wood, steel.
Yeah.
So you got a lot of variations, things that go on. We do a lot of custom woodwork, in terms of what's going on. So you got a lot of variations. And so when you're dealing in those automation worlds, you got to think about those.
And then some of the other phases, there's phase 2 and phase 3 plans, more things we can do inside that building that can help Drexel be more roof to roof, where we can control all things inside.
Yeah. You guys have been in that building since
2001.
2001?
Was it 2001?
March, it was February of 2001. I always teased
Moving
Dad,
facilities is not fun.
I always told Dad there's 2 things I never want to do.
I mean, moving apartment to house is not fun, so I can imagine.
Mine was
moving
moving a facility, and damn it, we're going to end up doing it again.
Yeah.
So in going along with the new facility, have you guys as a whole been in that building since, over 20 years now? Is there something that you have as like a list on the side where you're like, well, if we ever got to create something, do it our own way, or is that something that until you get to the point where like, okay, we're going to build something, does it now happen, or is it something that you've always kind of had where you're like, oh, this would be cool, stuff you're just kind of adding in your head if that time comes?
We've always had the idea, like the pre-finish line, we basically want to put molding in on one end and wrap it on the outside. Dad talked about that for a long time. He's like, hey, we got to take touches out. Our big thing has always been, and we've done a pretty good job of that over the years in terms of what we're doing, remove touches. How many touches can you remove out? Because every time you touch a product, you have a chance for damage and everything else. So those are the kind of things that we brought, efficiencies, touches, storage, bigger storage areas. I mean, one of the downfalls we have right now is we did this, 3-4 years ago, got offsite, warehousing.
Yep.
So we could move bulk stuff because our business had grown so much that we needed to.
So our building right now is currently 56,000-ish?
Yes, yeah.
So 56, we've got another 15,000 feet where we just store material, plus another 3,000 feet where we do hollow metal. So we're in 3 locations already.
Yeah.
So we'll go back underneath one roof.
Yeah, that'd be really nice.
Yeah, right.
And I'll come to that. Yes, as there's some things we always said, and especially in the pre-finish area, if there's things that, if we ever can, when we do it,
I think we're going to do it.
Yeah.
I think we're going to do it.
You talked about, Sean, kind of talking about archaic and kind of the industry and things like that. What have you guys seen change over the years, or haven't you seen change much? And maybe where you think it may be going in some ways too.
I think the machining. So some of the machining of the doors has gotten to be more technical. We've chosen to go servo motor versus pneumatic, which is again kind of geeky talking, but it gives you a little more precision. One of the things I noticed right away when we went from McMahon to Drexel is just paylocity.
Sure.
I mean, just the paylocity, the online punch in, punch out. can view it right now. Our industry is very, very slow to that kind of stuff, in my estimation. We were, but that was, revenue driven.
Yep.
We wanted to watch what we were doing. And Joel said, you guys just do what you do. We're going to give you the rocket fuel. Remember that, Joel? Rocket fuel.
Joel Fleischman.
Joel Fleischman. You need
Have you seen Joel?
That should be our
bald
next,
crazy guy. That's what I call him. Bald crazy guy.
our next drink should be rocket fuel. That's
Right.
good.
Yeah,
There
that
you
is,
go.
yeah.
Hey, marketing, rocket fuel, Joel. Rocket fuel.
So, it's coming. It's still very slow, but it's coming.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on, I know you guys haven't got to experience an expo yet. State of Happiness was kind of a little bit on the other side of things to a degree, but what do you think about Drexel, and just in terms of, obviously you have the day-to-day work and things are busy, like we were just kind of talking about off here, how everyone's always got something going on, but about everything else that kind of Drexel is in terms of just like a team, what you guys have seen, maybe going to different locations, having people come through the facilities and things like that. What do you guys kind of feel from Drexel, just being a part of the family, and what kind of that is outside of the true, I'm working on projects and stuff
Right.
like that?
Kim, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I'm probably the one that maybe sensed it the most. It's weird when we did lunch. It was, make sure that I was going to the store to get this or that, make sure that I had it ready at 12 o'clock. And they just did the food tailgate on the Friday before Memorial Day. And it was like, guys, what do you need me to do? Nothing, it's done.
Taken care of.
Wait, whoa, are you
You're
sure?
just used to that, right? Like,
Yeah.
and they're like, I got my checklist of like what's needed
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
Right?
With
We
the
had
guys, with
we had
the-
a thing down.
Yeah, bring this, and all of a sudden it was like, no, the only thing, if you guys wanted to set tables out outside for it, and we're like, we didn't, so
Yeah.
that, so anything in that kind of area that,
For sure.
I was used to having to make sure that all of a sudden you have people coming in to help you with that. Everybody kind of jokes the McMahon Company apparel was one time a year. You had one shot at it, and that was it. Because apparel is hard, people. I don't care what anybody
Shout out
says.
Megan Gassner in marketing. Right?
Megan.
And so
Megan, that's
the
Sean.
whole fact
That's
that
Patrick.
they can just pick their T-shirts. It's not, why didn't we have hoodies this year? How come we didn't? I like this size, this T-shirt instead of that T-shirt. And you're just like,
Yeah.
really?
I've always talked
Kim, be honest, you were like, I'm not Kohl's. This is what we get.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what I've talked to Megan on that, and that's why she sends out like that detailed email that there's like 7, 8, 9, 10 questions on there. And so Andy Rettler's an inside joke will always respond and ask a question that's already actually called out in there, just to tease her that way. But yeah, I get it, right? Like people are just, you can't make everybody happy all the time,
Right,
And you gotta put something on paper or online and go with it and decide. And,
Right.
You're
Just like
having
if-
burgers. I really want brats.
Right.
Yeah.
Really? Can't you cook
There
brats?
is, there is that. I don't eat this, I eat that.
Yeah. Yeah. Sean, Patrick, any thoughts in terms of just
Sorry, ask the question again.
team feel?
I was amazed at how parallel the McMahon culture and the Drexel culture was. It was amazing to me. We, sitting on the inside looking out, I know I would always wonder, do they like what we're doing?
Sure.
This is what we can do. Do they like what they're doing? That culture-wise, it was a pretty parallel marriage, in my opinion.
And had you guys always been at like 45, 50-ish
I
people?
think I was 55 was the top.
55, okay.
At one point, I think. You would know that better than me.
So we really never went over 50.
Okay.
Now, if over a summertime, if we had like college help come in, maybe it hovered at 52.
Okay.
But we never were over 50 full time. So
Nice. Very cool.
Yeah, I would say our focus on customer service is parallel. We really want to take care of the customer. What we did prior to and what we're doing now is all driven by the customer. And that's cool.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Any questions you guys have?
Yeah, where's Joel?
I knew it was going to come up.
Joel Fleischman.
gosh, you guys.
I think we probably got to cool it a little bit.
Oh, no.
We're just getting started. Well, I know we talked about it a little bit beforehand, and I know some of you had it kind of recited. So we can jump into the billboard. So you got one billboard. It's where everybody can kind of see it. It doesn't have to be work related. It doesn't have to be family related. It can be whatever you want it to be. What's it say and why? Start with Sean.
If you always do what's right, you never have to look over your shoulder. It works in all kinds of life. Sometimes, and even sometimes when you have to do the right thing, sometimes the right thing is hard. But if you always do what's right, you don't have to look over your shoulder.
For sure. I always heard that if you don't lie or you never told a lie, you don't have to remember what you said before, and which is kind of the same way, right? You just do it the right way, and that's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Kim?
Mine would say be a value in everything you do. So, yeah.
elaborate at all?
Oh, well, you know, it's
I mean,
just
it's pretty straightforward. Like,
yeah, and it's kind of true. Like, if you're really like, when you think about your work life, your home life, and even like your extracurricular life, if you're not adding to the team,
Yep.
and you got to realize that and step back and say, like, I think it's okay to say this is not my wheelhouse. I was the first, like with the guys when they were coming to me, talking to me about the CNC equipment. It's the deer in the headlight look. I can't lie about
Yeah.
that.
Do you ever
And-
see resting bitch face?
That's me. I have that totally.
I really
But
don't
I mean,
care.
you really,
I'm really
like,
not
it-
that mean.
Truly, because like that's where like
You would just look at us and go, can we afford it? And we'd go, Kim, can we afford it? She'd go, yeah.
but again, sometimes it's adding that value in, like, I can add value here, so I need to step back and let you know that, right?
I need to have trust and faith in you that you guys know what you're looking at and know what you're about to spend the dollars on. But yet, I'm not going to add a lot of value here, so I have to step back. You know, so that's just kind of in my other things that I do outside of work. I have to realize what my limits are too, and take my step back.
She is our older
Because she's
sister.
the older sister.
She is
so
the
when
older
she's
sister.
trying to be in that bike race, she has to understand she's got to be.
But she's
in
not the
upper
oldest, folks. We
category.
found that out before.
Look at you! Look at you protecting her right away, saving her.
Gotta step up and play that, you know?
Yeah. So that's yeah.
Nice. Patrick, your billboard?
Well, I do have a billboard, and I thought about it very long.
Do you actually have a real billboard?
No,
that you have
no,
your-
He might.
I
He
did.
might.
Because we talked about it ahead of time, but now it changed.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
It's
boy.
now, where's Joel Fleischman?
No.
Okay, but that's not the real one. Mine was always going to be family first. That's what mine's going to be. And it's growing up in a family business, the things that go on. Made a lot of sacrifices over the years. Dad made a ton of sacrifices. Mom and Dad both did. In starting the business, you know, mortgaging their house, putting their everything on the line, was all about doing it. And even during the hard times, like 2006, 7, 8, when it was bad, you know, Dad stopped. Dad didn't take a paycheck for a long time.
Yeah.
You know, we took significant pay cuts to make it happen because the employees are family too. I mean, and we still we still gave bonuses and we still did stuff, but we also took care of the family, our own families, you know, and so that was always important to us. So I would say family first, and that's all encompassing, you know, because our team is a part of our family.
Yeah. I graduated college in 08, and so obviously it wasn't really, you know, you just graduate college and you're kind of oblivious to what's really going on in the real world. People have been working for a while and whatnot. Do you feel like making it through in that, you know, 07, 08, 09, 10, that kind of time frame and getting through things, is there something to you that just feels like we can make it through kind of anything in terms of a work phase when you go through that as a family company and you're like, hey, times are lean, like we're going to cut back here because, you know, everyone's struggling. Like,
Yeah.
do you think you can just kind of make it through everything? Is that kind of a...
Absolutely. I mean, that was and Dad would have said it at the time, because he came up in the industry back in the late 70s, early 80s when interest rates were, you know, 19-20%, and those were tough times, but it was what the time was.
Mm-hmm.
That drastic fall off, the things that happened, you had, you know, Radford go out, Milliken go out, you had all these major players, you know, people that went out, you were fighting for every bit of business that you had, and you learned how to play lean, you know, and so I think we operate today with that same mindset.
I still see him saying it. Failure's not an option.
Right. It just
Failure's just not an option.
Yeah.
You do what you got to do.
Yeah, it is funny when people do visit our office because it is totally antiquated. But, you know,
It's
it's
home.
1970 paneling in our
No, Joel, you don't
It's
get
okay.
any paneling. No paneling.
But it's funny because like those were the kind of sacrifices that we made that I don't think people realized
Yeah.
coming from the smaller company, that, you know, you worried more about, you know, what we could
Paying our
provide
people.
for our people instead
Yeah.
of taking the paneling off the wall or
Right, yeah.
Painting
you
the
know,
paneling or doing everything.
yeah, like
you know.
we tried to spruce it up by painting, and then you
Well,
know,
like, oh my
like
God,
we
that's all
got
we
really
were.
busy, and so like you can see where the paint stopped. So
And I think two things taught us that. I think that tough time taught us that, but I think COVID also taught us that.
Well, that was another realization. I mean, it was hunker down and battle through.
Right.
what was going on.
And we had just lost Dad right as COVID was starting, not because of COVID, but we just lost him. So that was our first test as a management group.
Yeah.
And
Well, what a time to go through something, right? Like all of a sudden it's like,
not
hey,
only are we going
yeah.
through emotional family stuff, then we got that. But I gotta be honest with you, COVID's the best thing that happened to us. We got busier than crap.
Well, it was just everybody hunkered down and people did stuff for their own
Right.
for their own houses and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's
It's
awesome.
amazing.
Well, I appreciate you guys being on Joel Fleischman's Happy Hour podcast, episode 83.
But Joel's not here.
Joel's not here. Yeah, I'll make sure to never forget to leave him off of a calendar invite for a Happy Hour podcast again. But I know we had this on the books for a while, so I appreciate you guys taking the time, sharing a little bit, and we will make sure to circle back probably sometime later this summer, early fall, and get another check-in and see how things are going.
That's awesome.
No
Thanks,
problem.
Marcus.
Thanks,
Nice
Marcus.
job.
Awesome.
Good
Nice
filling
job.
job.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
83. See ya.